Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, a small request. Can you just revise what we have done on Thursday and Friday?
On the first lecture you're telling or the
Yes, first and
last lecture?
second lecture, Thursday and Friday.
Okay, fine.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, before we, continue with the today's agenda, let's recap what we had done in the previous lectures. Okay, so in the previous lecture, we have started with the introduction of your GST, what exactly your GST is. Okay, that we have understood exactly what your are your taxes. Taxes are basically the fees part, okay, which we are paying to the government. So it is in the two form, that is your direct taxation and the indirect taxation. So we have focused on the indirect taxation, which is your goods and service taxes. Okay, in that also we have understood, the importance of your GST. Along with that, you have realized, the framework of the GST, that is through your GST council, who are what is the composition scheme of it. Okay, the composition scheme basically, the I'm talking about the members of it. Okay, I hope that you are in a position to recall it. Then after we have continued with the GSTN, that is your GST network part. Then we have covered the benefits of it, the need of your GST. Then we have understood the concept of dual GST module. That is, there are two types of supplies: interstate supplies and intrastate supplies. The intrastate supplies is all about the within state part, that is, we charge over there CGST and SGST or UTGST, and in interstate supplies we charge IGST. Okay, we have understood the laws which are enforced over here, which covers 2017. All the, if we talk about the CGST part, then it is covered, the rules and regulations are covered under your CGST Act 2017, and so on. Further, we have also understood the, who exactly is going to cover what type of taxes. Okay, like who is going to collect the CGST taxes? It's the central government. Who is going to cover the UTGST taxes? I mean, collect the taxes. That is your central government. Who is going to cover your SGST part? That is your state government. IGST part is covered by the central government, and further these two people, share amongst themselves. Okay. Then we have covered the benefits part. And now, before we start with the next part, okay, we are now going to discuss few of the relevant definitions which are necessary to be understood, so that your further concepts are cleared. Okay, now coming to the definitions part. Okay, at the first part we will be covering the definitions which is regarding to your audit, business, then consideration, the electronic commerce operator, what exactly your India will be covering, the taxable territory, and your taxable event. Okay. Uh, just a minute. This has just stopped. Now, discussing about the term audit. Okay, this audit for the GST is covered under the section 2, subsection 13. What exactly the audit means? What do you understand by audit? It's basically the examination part, which is done for the records which are available. Okay, exactly what type of records? Okay, now it will be the output record, the input part record, the electronic ledgers record, or any returns which they are filing, or any other documentations which is mandatory to be produced at the time of auditing. Okay, that is the at the time of the examination part. So it is done and furnished by the registered person under this act. Okay, where all the rules are being laid down for the time when it is supposed to be verified. Okay, whatever the documents are, it is supposed to be verified and tell us the true and fair value of it. That is the correctness of the turnover which is going to be declared, the taxes which are supposed to be paid by them, whatever the refunds are there, these refunds are to be claimed. The availability of your ITC is also produced, that is the input tax credit evaluation part is also there, and also to assess his compliance with the provision. That means whatever the procedure he is following is basically adhering to the law or not, okay, which are made under your GST. So in short, if you can summarize the auditing part, it's like an examination of, examining the records or the documentations which is there, compelling to and verifying to the correctness level for the taxes which is supposed to be paid and the availability of your ITC. Okay, so this is your audit part. Next, now you might have heard the word business in your lower standards. Okay, under section 2 subsection 17, if we look about overall business is basically what first thought we have is that business matlab we have to make the profit unless and until whatever the XYZ reasons are. सबसे पहला जो दिमाग में आता है business is basically to earn profit. But if we talk about the broad concept of your business, what exactly it says that any trade or any commerce or any manufacturing part or any professional part, if we are considering, even if there is no monetary benefit, मतलब यहाँ पे पैसा कमाया जाए ऐसा भी जरूरी नहीं है. Okay, but trade, commerce, manufacturing part, whichever is there into that, where any activity is ancillary to it or incidental to it, which is basically going side by side, or any activity of same nature, even if no volume or continuity is there. Like you don't have the future plans ki abhi short term ke liye this particular activity is going. That is also that also covers the part of your business. In that, if we see that if there is a supply or acquisition part of your goods, which includes your capital, goods and services, then in connection with the closure of your business or the commencement of business will be considered as a business. Okay. Next, if we talk about the provisions of facilities by your club or association, then if it is only termed to your members for the consideration, again, this will be termed as the business. If you might have seen the Lions Club, okay, this comes into it. For the above example, if you can, I hope that you people are watching that Shark Tank or the Rising Stars. देखते हो कोई? You will get many of the business ideas which is there, and it's absolutely worth watching it. You will understand how people are promoting their business. So watch that particular things which is related in your studies. You will get much of the ideas to explore. Then admission for the consideration. Whenever there is consideration which is related to any premises, comes under your business. Okay, services as a holder of the office. In case if you are, holding XYZ office, then whatever the services are there, again, it should be related to the professions, or it should be related to the trade, then it will be considered as your business. Whenever the activities which are related to the race club by way of totalizer or the license to bookmaker in such part of club, like, horse riding clubs are there. Okay, then, some training clubs are there. Okay, where the activities are to be, taken place. So this also comes under your business. Then any activity by your government or any local authority as the public authorities. Like, for example, if we talk about the banks, okay, so this also comes under your business. So, to sum up your business, what exactly it is going to be included, then it's related to your trade, commerce, manufacturer, or the profession where they have a connection to provide the goods or provide the services, even though they are not having any profit motive, still it will be called as a business when there will be a consideration part. Okay. Now, since I'm emphasizing on the word consideration, then what exactly your consideration is covered? Okay, so under section 2, subsection 31, sorry, yeah. So what exactly your consideration is covered? It says that whenever there is a medium of exchange, it is called as your consideration. Okay. So now if the payment in the money or otherwise for your supply, whenever there is a payment which is done. Okay. Now basically payment matlab what we are basically discussing. It's the a medium of exchange basically. Okay. So medium of exchange is there. Now, ये कहाँ पे होगा? Okay, where exactly it is going to be, or to whom we are supposed to pay? Okay, so this particular deposits it's to be considered as a payment, or only when the supplier applies for such deposit as a consideration for supply. Like for example, if I say that you're going in a shop to purchase a book. Okay, now he's asking for the money. This is what a consideration part. So supplier is basically accepting a part of a amount that is called as your consideration. The monetary value, okay, which is again used for the furtherance course of your business. Okay, this is a part of your consideration. So it is done by the recipient or any other person, which excludes your subsidy, which is given by the central government or your state government. The subsidies, I hope that you people are aware, and discount which is given by the government, which you are not supposed to pay at all. Okay. Further, moving on to the electronic commerce operator. Okay, the electronic commerce operator, which is covered under the section 2, subsection 45. What exactly it says, the word itself says that any person who is going to own that particular operation. Okay, basically the digital part. Okay, so he will be called as the electronic commerce operator. Now, taking an example, of our college only, we have Mohit sir and Rohit sir, who is, been an electronics commerce operator for our college. Okay, basically, it means that any person who owns or operates or manages a digital or electronic facility or the platform will be called as the electronic commerce operator. Okay, basically platform of the electronic commerce. Now, the most important, what exactly the India covers. Okay, it is covered under section 2, subsection 56. I told you at the time of, explaining the concept of your GST, that it covers the whole India, okay, including your Jammu and Kashmir. Earlier, before launching, on 1st July 2017, before launching, Jammu and Kashmir was not considered, but after 2 weeks later, Jammu and Kashmir is also included under India's definition for the purpose of law, okay, of the GST law. Now, if we talk about India, what exactly this particular section of 2, subsection 56 says that the territory which is covered under India on the surface, over the surface, and below the surface is covered under your Indian territorial parts. Okay, if we read on to the definition, it says that any territory of India which is referred to in Article 1 of your constitution, its territorial waters, seabed, or subsoil which are underlying the such waters, considering the continental shelf, which is exclusive of your economic zones, or any other maritime zone as referred to the territorial waters, continental shelf, exclusive economic zones, or other maritime zones under 1976, and the airspace which is above its territorial waters. Okay, what I have summarized with whatever it's on the surface, below the surface, above the surface, which covers the Indian territorial zones, which is there over here, is to be considered as India for the GST law. Now, in this particular Indian part, okay, we are saying that, it covers the whole India, including your Jammu and Kashmir. Now, in that, which will be exactly the taxable part? Okay. Which should be exactly your taxable part. So it says that whenever there is a place of supply incurring, okay, in that particular territory where, taxes are supposed to be paid, it will be called as your taxable territory. Like, for example, from Maharashtra, considering Maharashtra and Gujarat, okay, so here the transaction has taken place. Okay, now in this, both the parties where the transactions are taken place, then Maharashtra is also the taxable territory and your Gujarat is also your taxable territory. Okay, whenever there is a supply, the taxable territory will come into picture unless and until it is exempted part. Now, if we have discussed about the taxable territory, what exactly this place of supply will help us to know? For place of supply to be held, we should know there is a transaction which is to be done. There must be some buying and purchasing part, buying or purchasing part, or the selling part. There must be a supply which is to be taken into consideration in whichever form it is, either in the form of goods or in the form of services. Okay, या फिर दोनों. Okay, so the taxable event will basically says that it will be a tax which is supposed to be paid on your supplies. Supplies of what? Then your goods, or might be services, or might be both. So what exactly this is going to highlight? It's basically there is your taxable supply. It should be made by a taxable person and it should be made under your taxable territory. We have, gone through the territory part. We are supposed to be discuss the about 2 points. Okay. Now, like taking an example of, let's say, Maharashtra and Karnataka. Okay, so here from Maharashtra, we are supplying uh, uh, the goods. Okay, for let's say, for example, we are supplying the oranges to it, to Karnataka. Then here what takes place, there is a particular event of supply of your goods. Now here in this case, let's say, taking an example that Maharashtra, who's selling the goods is the registered person. So here again, he becomes your taxable person. There is a taxable supply also, and hence in the taxable, it becomes your taxable territory. Both covers your India part, and hence this is your taxable event. Why the slide is not going? Okay. So this is overall part which we have discussed right now. Moving on to the next part. Right now, what we have covered is the definition of your audit, your business, the consideration part, the electronic commerce operator, India, taxable territory, and taxable event. Let's move on to the next part. I will just bring out the next slide. Just a minute. I hope the slides are visible. Now, in the further course, now we will discuss regarding the goods, services, who is the person, who is the recipient, who is the supplier, and who is the taxable person. Okay, now this set of definitions are very, very important. Okay, which needs to be emphasized and understood to identify the type of goods and services which are covered under your GST. Okay, here you need to identify who is the person, and in this person, who will be the recipient and who will be the supplier, and in this case, who is the taxable person. So now this set of definition is important. Now what exactly your goods covers? Okay, which is again covered under this section 2 subsection 52, which says that every kind of movable property. Movable matlab what? That, like example, if you are buying a mobile phone from a shop, okay, you are purchasing that phone and you're leaving that, giving again the consideration part to the shopkeeper. So here the supply is taking place. You're purchasing a movable item from him, and you're leaving. This type of goods is this type of moment is called as or the product is called as your goods. So what exactly your goods includes? It includes your actionable claim, growing crops, grass, and things which are forming part of land, which is agreed to be served before supply or under a contract of supply. Like for example, if we take about this, is that the grapes. Let's say for example, grapes again. It is growing from the soil. Okay, the roots. In that, people are in a contract of purchasing that particular grapes. Everyone is not going to come over there to the farmer and taking that grapes. No, there is a chain. People come purchase in lot and they move on to the market and they sell it out. Okay, now this particular grapes will be called termed as the goods. So this is again the movable property which covers under your goods. But exactly it excludes your money. Why money? Because money is a part of your consideration. It's a medium of exchange which has been used, and hence money will not be considered as a part of your goods. the securities. Securities are basically the amount which is invested in it. So here, this particular securities or the deposits are not considered as the goods. Okay, because maybe it will be a movable part, but it is not considered under your goods. So to revise what exactly your goods are, goods is what your movable property, which includes your actionable claim, growing crops, grass and things which is forming a part of land, which is agreed to be served before your supplies or under a contract of supplies. What it excludes your money and security, since it's a part of medium of exchange. Now, in the word GST, we have covered the G part, that is your goods part. Now coming to the S part, that is your services, which is covered under section 2, subsection 102. Now, services is basically what? Like, it's in the intangible form. Goods are basically your tangible form. What do you mean by tangible? Like where you can see, feel, and touch. What is intangible? That you cannot uh, basically see through your eyes, but you can feel it. Okay, like for example, that you're going to a saloon, you're having a good haircut. Okay, that haircut part, what is basically what they are doing? They're providing you the services. Okay, although you cannot see that particular goods, what exactly it is there, but yes, whenever you're cutting it, you feel that okay, actually you had a good look over it. This is what a kind of a services which is providing them. Correct? So anything which is going to be included, and obviously you're going to pay money to him or her, the saloon person. So this is what your services are, the activities which are relating to the use of money or its conversion for your consideration. Like, facilitating, arranging transactions in the securities. In the bank also, whenever you go, you ask for the, demand draft, you pay the extra charges. What exactly you're getting? You're getting the services. You're not getting the goods. You're getting the services. So what it excludes, it excludes your money in securities, as I said earlier also, that it's basically your medium of exchange which is there. And of course, services does not includes your goods. Okay, so the overall services, if we consider, it's to summarize it, you can say the intangible part of the things which we get, okay, is your services. So it includes the activities which are relating to the use of money or its conversion for the consideration, facilitating or arranging the transactions and the securities, and it excludes your goods, money, and securities. Now, before we move on further, I want to give you a case, okay? Like you need to tell me whether it is going to cover under the goods or into the services part. Okay? So, if I tell you the SIM card, okay? I hope everyone is listening to this. If there is a SIM card, I'm going into the shop, okay? Let's say I'm going into the Airtel booth, and collecting that card from him, the service seller, okay, I mean the shopkeeper, to give me a new SIM card of Airtel. Now, what this type of transaction is it a goods or is it a services? Is it a good or it is a service?
Is it services, ma'am?
It's services. Explain why. You're purchasing a SIM card, okay? Don't be
SIM will
afraid
provide
even to
all
your.
the services of calling, internet. This
I'm so sorry, I couldn't hear you out. Can you please pardon?
SIM card will provide the service of calling, internet service.
Uh-huh.
That's why it is a service. It's not a good.
So you're telling that it is a service. Okay. Anyone else? So 2 for services, 0 for goods. Anyone else would like to try? No one. Chalo. Now I will tell you what exactly, it has happened to you. Okay. You people are thinking कि okay, चलो ये हमने SIM card we have purchased, so हम लोग उसको call करते हैं, internet use करते हैं, तो this is a part of your services. No, it's not absolutely correct. This case was discussed for the Airtel itself. Okay, the case study was there. That what exactly this particular goods or services will be called as. This product will be called as. So while purchasing a SIM card, okay, you pay to the shopkeeper, you're buying that SIM card. Okay, this is particular the tangible part.
That
Okay.
is a good. That is a
Yes,
good. After
that
that,
is
the
so good.
SIM card will provide the service.
Exactly.
So it is both goods and service.
Services both. So when at first stage you're purchasing it, so it becomes your goods. And later on, when you use that, it becomes the services. Whenever you pay the bill, you pay the internet bill, you pay the calling bill, then it comes under your services part. But at the initial state, it was a good to you. Understood? The difference between the goods and services. Well done. Now, who is basically the person? I hope the screen is visible. I couldn't recognize this.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, now what exactly your person says? Okay, I mean the person includes. So it is covered under section 2, subsection 84. It basically says that, you know, a, an individual. Okay, it includes your Hindu undivided family. It includes your LLP, that is your limited partnership, limited liability partnership. It includes your company. It includes your local authority. It also includes your trust. It also includes any body which is incorporated by or under any laws of your country, which is even outside India. An association of persons or a body of individual, whether it is incorporated or not in India or outside India. A cooperative society which is registered under any law which is pertaining to the cooperative society. Any society which is again defined by the Societies Registration Act, or every artificial jurisdictional person which is not falling in the above which I have discussed or I have highlighted, this will also fall under your definition of your person. If we, if I sum up into or if I summarize the person's definition, so whoever is going to be a part of a transaction for the supplies, okay, will be considered as a person. If you want a single statement which I could use, but here in this particular definition it's highlighting exactly ki kaun person ho sakta hai. Okay, so I have just reframed my statement as in a form that whoever is going to supply the goods or services becomes a person. And person, what exactly it would say, an individual and etc. things. Now, whenever there is a seller, it should be gone with your recipient part. Okay, the buyer's part. So buyer is basically covered under section 2, subsection 93, which says that whenever there is a consideration, okay, which is payable for your supplies of your goods and or services, basically, or maybe both, like, SIM card part. So whenever there is a consideration which is supposed to be paid, then who is the person basically going to pay? Then you're the person who is liable to pay the consideration. Like, for example, you're going to purchase let's say you're going to purchase a laptop. Okay, now, like, I want to purchase a laptop. I'm going to a shop, asking him for the laptop, taking it and paying the money. Okay, now here I wanted the laptop, I have purchased it, so I will be the person who is liable to pay the consideration. Now you would say, ma'am, अगर छोटा बच्चा रहेगा तो उसके पास तो पैसे earning source है ही नहीं, then how he is going to purchase? Obviously his parents are there, okay, who is going to take him for the shop. So here, although he is not purchasing it, okay, but he at least wants it, and whoever the person is there is paying that money. Okay, so this is basically the consideration part. Now, what if there is no consideration for the payable of the supply of goods? Okay, like, for example, the online services part. Like, let's say, for example, I am, buying something from the Amazon. I'm paying the online payment, and the delivery boy comes and, provides me the goods at my place. So here I have already paid the consideration. So person to whom the goods are their possession or use is delivered, or it is given, or it is made available, will be the person who is responsible, or he becomes the recipient for it. Okay, in my case, the example of Amazon which I have given, I have already paid it. Okay, I am only the recipient, only the person who is going to deliver over here, or whoever is going to take that delivery, it will be maybe someone different. It might happen also this, okay, like, I'm purchasing the goods, I'm paying out the part, and I'm asking him to deliver to the another place. Okay, this can also be happen. Okay, like, I'm asking, I'm staying at Mumbai, but I'm asking to pay that, I mean, to deliver that particular goods in Delhi. So again, whatever, the part is, but I have purchased the goods. Okay, but I'm asking him to pay and to deliver into the Delhi. Although the Delhi person is not responsible, there is no consideration for him, but he becomes your recipient at that point. The third case, if there is no consideration is payable for the supply of services, then person who is basically a recipient over here, the person to whom the services is rendered. Like, for example, that let's take that saloon example only. Let's continue with that. Like, for example, my my brother, okay, I'm taking him to a saloon, okay, to a saloon, and I'm asking for a haircut for him, and I am leaving that saloon. I've asked him to continue with the process. So here in this case, basically what is happening, who is taking that services? That my brother, and I am the person who is paying it. In this also case, what is happening, although directly indirectly my brother is responsible to pay the fees of these services, but in this case I'm paying that fees. Okay, so here also this type of service, I mean, this type of consideration part which is shifted is also to be considered in your part of your services. That is, person to whom the services has been rendered will become liable to pay. Okay, क्योंकि भले मैंने बोला रहेगा, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि मैं ही पे करूँ, मैं वहां से कल्टी मार दिया, बट सर्विसेज कौन अवेल कर रहा है? My brother. So again, This is basically a part of your recipient. So in this recipient, what you have realized that person basically who is basically a recipient. So the person who is liable for that consideration or no consideration part of your goods or services which is availed by him will be termed as your recipient. Whether or not who is payable, who is making that payment. Now, to get into a picture where the recipient is, if we have seen the recipient, but कोई ना कोई वहां पे supply करने वाला तो रहेगा, right? To to have that benefit of your goods or the services, there is a person who is basically going to sell that. So the seller is actually called as your supplier in your GST terms, that is under section 2 subsection 105, which says that whoever is going to make that supplies, okay, supplies of what? Your goods or services, or maybe both. Okay, so the medium who is going to do that, the person who supplies that particular goods or the services, which also includes your agent also. Like for example, I am having the a business, okay, of the LIC services, and I'm asking my agent to enact on it. Okay, you go and sell that particular product on my behalf. I will be sitting on this chair and you will be, capturing all the clients. So this agent is also a part of your supplier. He also becomes the supplier. Okay. So in this case, on his behalf of the supplier in the relation to the goods or services, or it may be applied for the both. Like shopkeeper, maybe the owner does not come and sell at point. He keeps some person. So this particular agents who are there, they are the supplier. Now, we have seen over here one part which I told you we will be discussing. I guess it is in the next previous slides, which is not covered there. The taxable event. Okay, in this taxable event, if you remember the third point which I said, we'll be discussing about the taxable person. So before taxable person, I have discussed कि basically person में क्या included होता है, what exactly a person includes. And after considering the person may be, he will be a recipient or he may be a supplier. So to understand who is basically the recipient and who is basically the supplier, we have already realized it, कि कौन supplier हो सकता है and कौन recipient हो सकता है. Now to understand the mixture of the taxable person, what exactly it is, a person who is basically liable or basically who is registered under your section 22 or 24, basically liable for the registration purpose, okay, to sell out the goods and services and to pay out the taxes, will be considered as your taxable person under section 2 subsection 107. I hope till now everyone has understood. I'm just coming with the next slide. Just a minute. I guess this part won't be covered. Just a moment. I hope that you people are in a position to see those slides. I guess not. I guess now you are in a position to see the slide. So now we will be discussing about the supplies. Okay. I'm not covering the definition of supply today. Okay, but we'll be discussing right now, since the time permits. Let's first consider the reverse charge mechanism and normal charge mechanism. And supply part we will be discussing in the next class, what exactly your supply says and what type of supplies are there. Basically the principal, the composite, the mixed supplies, and the taxable and non-taxable supplies. Okay, now before whenever there is a supply, okay, it's basically a straight line or guma fira ke wala line. Okay, so the reverse charge mechanism and the normal charge mechanism. Okay, now to understand this, the normal charge mechanism, what exactly it's saying to you is that what's happening. Just a moment, my mouse is not operating. Yeah. So in normal charge mechanism, okay, it says there will be a supplier, there will be a receptor, and a government. These three persons will be there in a picture of your reverse charge mechanism also, and your normal charge mechanism also. Okay, let's say a buyer. Okay, buyer and supplier is there. I'm going to a shop purchasing a pen over here, and I'm making the payment. Let's say the pen is of rupees 100. Okay, so I'm paying that particular pen price, including with the money of GST, okay, to the supplier. And here the supplier deposits the GST amount directly to the government. So in this case, what is happening? Your recipient or your receiver does not pay directly to the government. He's paying the payment to the supplier along with the GST. And here the supplier is depositing the amount of GST to the government. Now, in reverse charge mechanism, what happens is that, like for example, if I'm buying a XYZ product, let's say X product, I'm paying to the supplier without making the payment which includes GST. Matlab, like for example, 100 rupees is there and 10 or 20 rupees is the amount of GST. So 100 rupees I will be paying the supplier, and 20 rupees, okay, I'm paying directly to the government on behalf of your supplier. This is called as your reverse charge mechanism. Okay, where the supplier does not pay money directly to the government. Okay, so basically the cotton. Okay, if we take an example in cotton, what happens? The cotton goods, here the agriculturalist, okay, pay directly the GST amount to the government. Not the agriculture, the buyer, the cooperative parts. Let's move on back. Understanding the taxable supplies and your non-taxable supplies. The taxable supplies is covered under section 2, subsection 108, which says that where the supply of your goods or services or both is leviable to your tax under a particular act. I mean, not a particular act, basically your GST act will be considered as your taxable supplies. So if we talk about the types of your taxable supplies, what exactly it says, whenever there is a regular taxable supplies. Okay, whenever there is a regular taxable supplies. Then a supply of any of the item or services which attracts your GST rates, or which is greater than 0% within the India, is considered as your regular taxable supplies. If we talk about the nil rated supply, that means 0% of your taxes is there, okay, which is considered as your nil rated supplies. And the zero rated supplies is basically what is where uh, uh, the supplies which is to your special economic zones, or which is deemed to be exports, okay, it may be having 0% tax or greater than it, which is sold to be uh, which is basically it is sold, but it is considered as your zero rated supplies. Okay. The other details regarding this particular taxable supplies, once we are discussing the exempted part. Okay, exempted matlab, you know the exempted goods or services, or the assorted goods or services which are there, and that will be considering, I mean, discussing about the goods, which type of goods comes under your zero rated supplies, which type of goods services comes under the nil rated supplies, which are the exempted part, which are the regular ones goods where you will be paying out the taxes for the tax rates of 5%, 10%, 18%. Now coming to the non taxable supplies, that it means a supply of goods or services or both which is not livable to the tax under the act, जहाँ पे आपको taxes नहीं pay करना पड़ता है. Okay, so here there are exempted supplies and non-GST supplies. Exempted supplies means where it does not attract your GST, wherever there is no GST which is applicable for the goods, like for example the agricultural goods, जहाँ पे आपको GST पे नहीं करना पड़ता है. The non-GST supplies is, which basically says that key, you know, where your GSTs are not in a position, I mean, this type of items or the supplies where it is outside the purview of your law, where your GST does not attract, is your non-GST supplies. Like, we have discussed the scope, the alcoholic for human consumption, the tobacco, the real estate part, the petroleum products. Here, your GST does not exist. This is not in the scope of your GST. So these are your non-GST supplies. And the exempt supplies means although this particular product comes into the GST, but we are not going to accept the GST. The law does not permit for that particular goods or services or both. That will be considered as your, I mean, that won't be attracting your GST. So this is basically your taxable supplies and non-taxable supplies. Okay. So we have covered a lot of the relevant definitions for today. Okay, in the few further lecture, we will be covering more of the relevant definitions, and then we will proceed with the part of your registration. Now, you need to understand why these definitions are important, or the relevant meaning you should be knowing is because it basically helps us to understand the further terms which are there. Okay, the further terms which will be using, like, every time whenever we are discussing the place of supply, the time of supply, you need to understand the who is the PO, that is the officer. Okay, when is the taxable part, when it is to be charged, what is your supplies, what exactly or a recipient is, who is exactly your seller, which is the taxable event. This all you need to understand the terms. If you know the key terms, what exactly it means, it will be easy for you to understand the important concept of your registration. Like, we have the procedure of registration, the cancellation part is there. Okay, the ITC part is there. So for that, it is necessary for you to understand all these relevant terms. Okay. So for today, we'll end up the session. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, let's continue with the next part. Anyone is having any doubt regarding the topic which we have discussed? So shall I consider your silence means there is no doubt from your side? Okay then. So see you everyone. Till then, take care. Bye.